Just imagine for a second the absolute chaos of a Wall Street trading floor, right? The noise, the shouting, the numbers flying everywhere. Now, picture the exact opposite, the deep, humming silence of a quantum computer quietly solving problems that our current supercomputers couldn't crack in 1,000 years. This is the revolution we're diving into today.
And, you know, the massive difference between that noisy room and that quiet machine, it really comes down to this one simple thing. A classical bit, the foundation of all our current tech, is basically a light switch. It's on or it's off, a 1 or a 0. But a quantum bit, or a qubit, ooh, that's a whole different ballgame. It can be a 0, it can be a 1, or, and this is the part that will bake your noodle, it can be both at the exact same time. And that one little difference, well, that's what changes literally everything.
So, okay, why do we even need a computer that could be in two places at once? Because our current financial system, as powerful as it seems, has some pretty dangerous limits. We all saw it happen back in 2008, and honestly, the ghost of that crisis is the very reason this new kind of quantum power is being built.
Let's just put a number on that failure, because it's staggering. $10 trillion. That's how much value was just wiped off the map. And why? Because the complex risk models, the ones running on the most powerful computers on Earth, just couldn't keep up. They were too slow, too simple. They were completely blind to the disaster that was right around the corner.
And this is where the story takes a huge turn. See, to solve these kinds of impossibly complex financial puzzles, you don't just need a faster computer. You need a completely new kind of power. You need a new kind of thinking. And that is exactly what quantum computing brings to the table. So let's go back to the hero of our story, the qubit. We know it can be in multiple states at once. But what's so important to get is that this isn't just a souped-up version of a regular computer chip. This is a fundamentally different way of looking at and processing information. We're talking about a whole new language for computation.
The first of the qubit's superpowers is something called superposition. The best way to think about it is that it can explore every single path, every single possibility, all at the same time. I mean, get this. A computer with just a few hundred stable qubits could hold more possible values than there are atoms in the entire known universe. Just try to wrap your head around that number.
Here's a simpler way to look at it. If you flip a regular coin, it has to land, right? It's either heads or it's tails. But a quantum coin can exist in that in-between state of just spinning. It's both heads and tails simultaneously, right up until the moment you look at it. It's in that magical, spinning state where all the incredible computational power lives. Now, the second superpower is even weirder. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. It's called entanglement. It's this deep, mysterious connection between two qubits. If you measure one of them, you instantly know the state of its entangled partner, even if that partner is on the other side of the galaxy. The spooky link lets these machines perform calculations in a way that is just physically impossible for the computer sitting on your desk. Okay, so we have these almost magical new powers, superposition and entanglement. Now what? What do we actually do with them? Well, in the world of finance, they're being aimed squarely at the two biggest challenges of all, mastering risk and maximizing reward. And when we look at risk analysis, the difference is just night and day. Right now, classical models can take hours, sometimes even days, just to crunch a few thousand possible scenarios. A quantum model, we're talking about the potential to run millions, maybe even billions of scenarios in seconds. We're going from a blurry, simplified snapshot to a high-definition 3D map of the entire market.
This quantum advantage means we could get risk assessments in real time, no more flying blind. And maybe even more importantly, these models are perfect for spotting those super rare, super devastating fat tail events. You know, the black swan crashes like 2008 that our current models almost always miss. And this isn't just theory. Big players like JP Chase are already partnering with IBM to tackle some of these exact problems.
Now, let's flip to the other side of the coin, making money. You know, finding that perfect mix of investments for a portfolio, it's this incredibly delicate balancing act. You're always trying to get the highest possible returns with the lowest possible risk. Yeah, this is the classic trade-off. Now imagine a portfolio with thousands of different assets. The number of possible combinations you could create is, well, it's astronomical. A classical computer would just choke on that kind of problem. But a quantum computer running a special kind of optimization algorithm, that's exactly the kind of puzzle it's built to solve, almost instantly. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Goldman Sachs actually worked with a quantum company called QC and what they found was, and I'm quoting here, that quantum methods could uncover more efficient portfolios that classical methods might miss. Think about that. We're not just talking about being faster, we're talking about finding strategies our current computers are literally blind to. For an investor, that's the holy grail.
But as exciting as all this sounds, getting to that holy grail, it is not going to be a walk in the park. The quantum journey is really less of a straight road and more like trying to climb a treacherous, completely uncharted mountain.
Which brings us to the big, obvious question that I'm sure you're thinking. So what's the catch, right? Why isn't every bank on Wall Street already running one of these things?
Okay, so here's that reality check. First off, qubits are ridiculously fragile. They have to be kept in environments colder than deep space, shielded from the tiniest bit of vibration. Any little disturbance creates noise that can totally wreck the calculation. Second, and this one's huge, a powerful quantum computer could, in theory, break most of the encryption that protects our entire digital world today. It's a massive arms race to build quantum-proof security before that happens. And finally, these machines are multi-million-dollar giants that need teams of PhD physicists to run, which could create a real quantum divide between those who can afford them and those who can't.
But even with all those challenges, the vision of what's on the other side of that mountain is just too powerful to ignore. So let's look past the hurdles for a second and just glimpse the kind of financial world that quantum computing could one day build. Here's kind of the roadmap. Right now, today, we're in what's called the NISQ era. That means noisy, small-scale, experimental machines. The next big step, and it could be just a few years away, is quantum advantage. That's when these computers start to beat classical ones on very specific useful problems. And the long-term goal? Full integration. A future where quantum is just a standard tool, making our entire financial system smarter and safer. And what does that system actually look like? Well, imagine market predictions with almost uncanny precision. Think about investment portfolios that can adjust themselves to new information instantly. But the biggest thing is a system that can proactively prevent the next financial crisis, instead of just reacting and cleaning up the mess afterwards. It's about building a stronger, and maybe even a fairer, financial world for all of us.
So, we're left with this one final, really fascinating question. We are standing at the very, very beginning of a new technological age. The quantum leap isn't something that's coming in the distant future. It's already underway. The real question isn't if it will change things, but how will this incredible, almost alien power truly shape the financial world of tomorrow?